What's up, everyone? Check out what's coming up this week on Legacies.
We wanted them to kiss, and then you literally pan the camera and Dewey's there eating ribs watching.
But let's do a giveaway. We'll give away some Ross's Gold.
Ron, you are telling my story.
Right? So,
Did I tell you this already?
Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome to episode 10. Wes, can you believe it?
Double digits, baby.
Double digits. If you don't know already, I'm your host, Tom Ritchie, joined by executive producer and co-host, Mr. Wesley Bowles. Wes, this is a packed show, so we need to keep our chitter-chatter to a minimum, I think, this time.
We do love our chitter-chatter, but yeah, we should. We, like you said, we got a lot to pack in, so.
We got a lot, yeah. We've got Ryan Lindsay, creator, executive producer, joining us from The Trades, hit TV show The Trades. I'm going to go on to watching that a second time, by the way. Also, Shuana Levy from Madge and Mercer. We're going to share her story behind her legacy today. That's going to be really interesting. A different perspective as well, which I love.
Yeah, diving into some wellness products, and I love the branding on that. The Modern Apothecary.
It's so awesome. Clean. I mean, we should expect nothing less from her. Her background is in design, so we'll see how that goes. But every time I move, over here smelling my armpits. But listen, I don't stink. You've heard of Dr. Squatch?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm that hippy dippy guy, right? And my wife is huge advocate, natural products. I ran out of deodorant, or I was getting close to running out, and she's like, "Oh, I can grab you some Dr. Squatch," and I'm like, I don't like change. I really don't like change. And I've tried it. I think this is day 3. And I'm starting to love this product. And now I'm going to be on the hunt for all of their products. It has this manly, beautiful undertone that's not super in your face, but you get this nice little whiff every once in a while. Anyways, I don't know. It's not
the overly synthetic like Axe deodorant.
No, it's all natural. No, I hate those things, and that's my challenge. Is when I found a deodorant / antiperspirant that was natural, no aluminum, all that. I stuck with it for years. I actually got John Prentice onto using it was Schmidt's, and I'm like, well, I got to get this stuff off of Amazon now because it's getting difficult to find. And Tanya's like, no, I'll get you some of this Dr. Squatch. I'm like, I don't like change, but I like it so far.
I'm with you on not changing, especially like deodorants and stuff. I don't know about you if I use the wrong one. I think it's more those, because I don't know about women's deodorants, but men's deodorants come in a few, like they have the powdery white ones, right? And then you have like then you have your gels, the ones that kind of
like straight up deodorants.
And those are just like, they irritate my, I don't know if I have
we're going to get you some Dr. Squatch. We get natural products, baby. I'm telling you, this stuff is, I want to try everything now. Like they have, I didn't know. I'm like, is this a Canadian company? It's not. But they are very pro-Canadian. They're very much about the mountains and, Sasquatch, right? Anyways, now I'm going to be on the hunt for all their products to just give them a try. Dr. Squatch, if you want to send anything over for us to sample, we'll give it a try. Wes wants to try it. He hates some of those deodorants that are out there on the market. Anyways, lots of different things going on. We're going to focus on something that's really exciting, though. We get to spend time together again. We're going to Canna Kick It 6.
Canna Kick It 6 on Saturday. We're going to be seeing the screening of Nagano Till Now with Ross Pagliatti. So, it's going to be an exciting weekend.
Yeah, it should be a good day, and we're obviously very excited. We've had Ross on the program before. And now we have his collection available on the High Flyer, Ross's Gold. So on that, let's do a giveaway this week for Ross's Gold. I was hoping that, because I ordered one, and you won, so that we could have it for the event. Hasn't come yet. I'm hoping it comes by Friday. We'll see. Our print partners are very quick, but I don't know if they can turn stuff around this quick. We'll see. But let's do a giveaway. We'll give away some Ross's Gold. Let's do the shirt. There's a premium. I love one of the shirts that we have available. It's that Color Comfort. It's 100% wrung spotton or wrung cotton. Anyways, so like and follow who?
Like and follow Legacies podcast. I'll put all the information down here. We're not going to limit this to social platforms. So wherever you see this, like, comment, and subscribe or follow, and we'll we'll be sure to include you. And and then we'll put everything up on the screen for you.
Oh yeah, make sure you're following Ross's Gold. Both Ross personally, he's got a huge account on Instagram. I think he's on Twitter. I don't know. But be following Ross's Gold Cannabis. Be following us. Be following the High Flyer. This is gonna be a hot collection. I know it. Ross is one of the greatest guys in this industry, but just in general. So it's nice to show some love over in that direction. But yeah, I'm looking forward to trying some of his product. I hope he brings some.
Perfect. Yeah. Well, excited to see who wins that. It's going to be a nice shirt.
It's I want to see mine, man. And so we'll give away there's a premium one that we've done up with a little bit different design. We'll do the one with the vertical logo on the back and the flower on the front. I love that one. So we'll give that one away.
Perfect.
What else do we got going on? Because I'm excited to get Ryan in. And he's going to be joining us any minute now. We get to dive into the trades. I'm really curious if there's going to be a second season. Do you think he knows?
I think absolutely. There's going to be a second season. The way I understand what they did with season 1. They kind of left it at a point where it could, for all intent and purpose, end there if they had to. But I think there's too much with some of those characters. Some of them are too funny, and some of the development was too good to not do a season 2. I think the response online was great, and
I feel bad for the Americans.
Yeah.
All the Americans that post, how do I watch this in the U.S.? Even on our post when we were posting stuff about it. How do we get this in the U.S.? And I jokingly said, nah, you can't have it. We're not allowed to have Seth back in Canada. You can't have Seth Rogen, that is. You can't have the trades and Rob Wells and team Tom Green. Although Tom Green's touring in the U.S. right now. He's doing a comedy tour right now. Yeah.
So. Other than that, I don't think we've got too much. Just a reminder, we still do have another contest kind of going on. So if you have not already sent in your clips of you playing, an instrument, shredding a solo on guitar or ripping some keys or a massive drum beat or something like that, send those in. Continue going. We're going to run that for a couple of weeks. We still have not decided the full prize yet, but it's going to be spectacular regardless. So keep sending those in, and we'll start featuring them very soon.
Yeah, I've even gone back and started playing again just in case I get called to duty. I was trying Life by the Drop by Stevie Ray Vaughan last night. I don't even know why I bother. I seriously
That's a bold choice. That's a bold choice.
Dude, the lick at the beginning of that, like I'm a rhythm guitarist, right? And a little twill here and there. But this is full on blues scale. And I'm like, Jesus, I should have learned my scales 30 years ago. I can't do this at all. So
yeah, your pentatonic scales. Yeah, you're going to be telling me you're trying Scuttlebutton next.
I did play some Hey Joe acoustically last night. So
me and my buddies used to play Hey Joe all the time. That's a great one to jam.
Yeah. Looking forward to seeing some of the clips that come in. I haven't gone over and checked, so I guess we'll review what comes in when they come in. But excited to see some of that stuff. I know there's individuals that follow us that play. I've seen their clips. So looking forward to that. And again, we're not sure what the prize pack is, but guarantee that it'll include a lot of different items that you can find on the High Flyer. All right. Should we bring Ryan in? We don't want to leave him waiting.
Yeah, we don't want to leave him waiting. We'll take a quick break, and then we'll bring Ryan in.
All righty. Hey, friends. Guess what? It's almost T-shirt season. You ready? You should be rocking your favorite brand. Head on over to thehighflyer.ca and check out all the licensed cannabis brand swag that we've got available. From Odo to Victoria Cannabis Company, Smoker Farms, Royal Harvest, the list goes on, and there's more coming on every single week. Check it out, add it to your cart, and be prepped. Sun's out, guns out. All right, welcome back. We're joined by Ryan Lindsay, creator, executive producer of a hit TV show, The Trades. Ryan, how you doing this morning?
Fantastic, boys. Like I said, I'm above average. It's been a good couple months for me.
Yeah, we don't hear that very often, above average. I love that. When I'm able to use it, I think I'm going to use that from now on.
Hey, recycle at will. Feel free.
So you're a Sarnia native.
Yeah, I'm here right now.
You're in Sarnia now?
Yep,
Okay, cool.
I was born and raised in Sarnia.
Okay.
Yeah.
So for the audience, we want, we could do our best. We've talked about The Trades, obviously, when it popped up. Good old Canadian show. That's one of the things we love. Obviously, some of the characters as well. But in your own words, please explain to our audience, what is The Trades?
So The Trades is a scripted workplace comedy set in a refinery. And, I guess like the log line you see blasted all over the internet is, it's these refinery workers in a small town, offsetting, this hazardous prone environment with comedy. They're using their antics to deal with, the stresses of the workplace they reside in. So it's yeah, it was a really cool project. I know we'll get into, the development and the details of how it came to be, but
Yeah.
to me, it's more than just that log line. It's a livelihood. It's where I'm from. Sarnia
Yeah.
is a very industrial area. Chemical
Mhm.
Valley is just downriver. All the big corporations.
What a name too, right? Chemical Valley. Um,
Yeah.
where does that I know where it comes from. Obviously, petroleum workers and the petroleum industry in that area. That's close to Petrolia as well, is it
Yeah,
not? Like not too far?
Petrolia is around the corner. Yeah, it's just up the
Okay.
road.
Yeah.
And I don't know the history behind Petrolia as much as I should, but I know it was like the first dug derricks in Ontario or Canada. It's also the home of the first golf course because all the wealthy
Oh.
all the wealthy individuals, oil tycoons, were coming up and playing on the first golf course in Canada.
Cool.
So I just know the bare minimum, but yeah, this Chemical Valley in terms of like what it is, I mean, it's so unnatural. It's funny because, you know, growing up with family members that are in the trades, and my dad was a process operator. He was a Homer Simpson. And, like we would do drives down the river road in through the refineries at night. That was like, how some people go drive and look at Christmas lights and
Yeah, yeah,
subdivisions?
yeah,
No, fuck that.
yeah,
We were doing like, refinery drives. They're lighting
yeah,
a flare stack up tonight. Let's go. Like that
yeah.
was kind of,
It's very surreal, right? Like, because I come from that world of steel and Stelco Steel and ArcelorMittal in my own town of Woodstock, which went through multiple changes, but um, it's very surreal to drive, especially at night. I'm glad that you picked that out because when you're seeing the stacks, you're seeing the lights and the different buildings, and usually there's a haze of some sort, kicking through the air, and
Mhm.
depending on the time,
And
it's somewhat
some sort of
spooky.
aroma, maybe benzene.
Yeah, oh
You know?
yeah, yeah, down there definitely would be. I know. Well, I noticed that when you drive through Petrolia, if you got the windows down on a summer day, you can certainly smell that, that earthiness, we'll
Sulfur.
call it.
It's the rotten egg
So, well,
smell.
it's definitely sulfur, yeah. So I had read, again, going back, I'd worked with the trade. So one of the things that I was super interested in was when I saw this coming up, I was like, okay, this is one I want to watch. But how closely could you relate those characters to what the actual trades individuals are like? And you fucking nailed it, man.
Thanks.
Like I worked with teams of 60 plus tradespeople across the steel industry. They are the hardest grit individuals I know. But they're also some of the funniest. And, when you're dealing with those stresses of keeping machinery up, making sure that you're meeting the demand for production, they have to have this character type that is very reminiscent of childhood. They're playing different games with each other. Their antics are out of control at times. So you certainly nailed that. But what I had read was, you know, the story shared by your brothers at dinner tables. So walk us through that because I want people to understand it's not just you come up with an idea and all of a sudden you got a hit TV show. There are a lot of milestones and steps to get there.
Yeah. I mean, of course we took individuals and parried them and merged, references, people that I know in real life, people that my brothers introduced me to. So there's an embellishment there, obviously, but
Yeah.
not really. Like I met, I know the conspiracy theorist guy. Like I can tell you who he is, and
Yeah.
even more than that, like he's pitching MLM products now in the plants and everybody's flagged them.
Jeez.
So like the stuff it writes itself. And my brothers, when we would have family dinners, they would just have the best stories and the rumors, the pranks, the nicknames, like. But my brothers always said, if you haven't heard a good rumor by noon, by lunchtime, start one. So it was just awesome how like I thought, coming from the film industry in Toronto and working with like the Del Toros and the Cronenbergs and, you know, just like seeing, I thought I had great stories, and I would come back
Right.
and try and share them, and we would always end up just riffing on what these guys are doing downriver because it's so much
Yeah.
more funny.
Yeah. I've noticed that too. A couple family members also, brother-in-law trades, both of them actually. And no matter what story you bring to the table, theirs will always trump it because it's living that life, man. It's right on the edge at times. And it's funny you mentioned the conspiracy theorists. There's always one at some sort of plant or in a trade setting. There's always one. And that character obviously was nailed very well as
Jesse
well.
Camacho, that guy is a
Je-
champ, and
he's
he's
he's a legend.
so good.
Absolute legend. So, um, how did this come about where, individuals will get into, obviously you got a Canadian Media Fund Award that helped get there.
Mhm.
You shot, the pilot or at least the, what do you call that?
So that was
The
a pre-development grant with the CMF,
Okay.
the Canadian Media Fund, and
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
a nominal amount. And what it allowed us to do was, I shot a 2-minute demo, and we
Mhm.
actually went on site. We had a Safeway let us, on site in their scaffold yard and in their trailer, and
Wow.
we used tradespeople and some people from the local theater,
Okay.
and got that demo together. And yeah, it was, I mean, I directed, edited, did the sound design, like it was just a all encompassing, project, as you do. But
Hmm.
even beyond the tropes and the characters that my brothers were introducing me to, and, you know, recognizing that, this show's never been done before, the main driver for me wanting to do this show was I've identifying that there's a massive audience segment that's underserved in content. The
Hmm.
blue collar
Absolutely is.
demographic doesn't get enough content, and it's a third of our population globally.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's great, and not to mention, when it comes to the trades, and I did read this in the press kit that came over, was I'm aware of it, but when you read the staggering numbers of the amount of tradespeople about to retire
Mm,
and the few that are coming into the industry, um, I, the tr- some individuals may look at this and go, "Oh, I want to get into it because of that." Yes, that's true, but let's not forget that trades they make this world, right? Without them, we're screwed.
mhm.
The vast majority of things that we consume, whatever product it is, there's a tradesperson involved to ensure that that machinery was up and running. But when you read that, what is it, 700,000 plus about to retire in the next, I don't know how many years it was. I'm sure you may have an idea, but that's scary.
Yeah, it's by 2030, I think,
Wow.
and the yeah, the show is it's satirical, and we rip on, the corporate side of things. And
Yeah.
but I mean, at the end of the day, any press or, spotlighting, anything positively or negatively, like, we're not trying to be negative, we're just trying to be accurate.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think it's all positive when you break it
Hmm.
down. A lot of people that I know that would normally be moving to Toronto to pursue a career in computer programming or doing something completely like, guidance counselor driven, you know what
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
in high school, which is
Hmm.
a broken system. We could do a whole podcast on that.
Oh, yeah, we could.
But, I think a lot of them now are pursuing skilled trades because
Yeah.
they see that, there you can generate wealth, you can build up your asset portfolio. Like, a lot of these guys own rental houses and
Hmm.
complexes, and, have,
Yeah.
multiple sources of income. They're smart with their money. They're not just
Yeah.
blowing it at the bar like, it's the 1960s. So I think, yeah, I think that's the huge part of it. And if we could help in any nominal way, spotlighting the trades as a viable career option, then we're gonna succeed.
Yeah. I agree with
Right.
that.
I love that you guys kind of brought up the element of fear of kind of automation and AI, especially with the welding robot and stuff like that. Um, were those real conversations and concerns you had with speaking with tradespeople in the industry currently, like their fear? Because I think that right now there's a lot of highlighting white collar work being automated in AI, and I don't think enough people realize that that is real on the blue collar side of things as well, right? It's not just GPT for desk jobs and stuff like that too. So were those real concerns and conversations you had with tradespeople?
Yeah, it depends on the, like, who you talk to at what level. Like the entry level on the tools guy is gonna be like, fuck that. Like I can out weld, or
Right.
there's a human touch to it. Where his boss is the foreman is, and the GFs maybe like it's in consideration. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a possibility. And then I guess it's the demographic too. Like the older guys, they are so skilled. Like the majority of them are so skilled because they've had to work every trade or learn at least everything. They're just so dynamic in what they offer that one single machine can't replicate that. So
Right.
that's what
Yeah.
I mean. The biggest message that I don't see conveyed, but I think it should be is being a jack of all trades in the trades is actually a positive thing. It doesn't
Mm.
show that you're undisciplined or you can't focus. I think, having that diverse skill set is important, and it will affect your income. Like it will affect your, um, you know, it'll make you in demand basically. And that's
Yeah.
what these old
Yeah.
guys that are still kicking around or coming out of retirement because they're so freaking skilled.
Yeah. We had individuals at the factory I was with that had lied about their age when they had originally started. So they would start on the factory floor 16, 15, and they're going, way back into the 70s. That eventually graduated into a program at Stelco or something like that where they could get into the trades. And these individuals, I mean, they're pushing 70 years old, some of them. They are, but they're smart. And they're the only ones that know the intricacies of how to fix certain machinery. So you could never get rid of them, or your downtime will just go through the roof. But quick question: was there any negativity from the trades unions, trades groups, individuals that said we're not like that? Where did you get this information from?
If they are saying that, then they're in denial, or they just don't know.
That's what I was going to say. They must be in
Yeah, or
denial.
they just don't know because
Yeah.
the locals that I deal with in Sarnia and at rest of the province, and people that I've talked to. I mean, there's friends that are at the skilled trades convention in Ottawa right now, and they're
Mm.
saying, "Man, this show is being quoted left, right, and center." And, "Oh my god, we gotta get you guys on as, like, keynote speakers next year." And
Yeah, that's awesome.
there's actually talk about it. Me,
Nice.
Rob, and Anastasia should be there. And that's the other big push too is, like, the females in the trades, it's the final frontier for women in a workplace. Like,
Right.
I think, police and fire surpassed 25%. So every like 1 in 4, people hired as a woman in police and fire, where in the trades it's still hovering around 4%.
Wow.
Yeah, it's the final
Wow.
frontier. So,
Jeez.
we show that greenhorn apprentice
Yeah.
angle, that female perspective with Anastasia's character Audrey, but it's more than that. Like I think there should be a push, and we're like I'm in conversations with like our MPs, our MPPs, like I'm going to Toronto next week and possibly meeting with the minister of labor.
Mm.
Like there's things like
That's good.
where we're
Yeah.
trying
So there's a lot of positive coming out of this, man. That's really
yeah,
good.
we're trying. I mean,
Um,
it's a platform. It's just one of many platforms that
yeah.
if they deny it, if it's not leveraged, then fine, but it should be. And it's even crossing over into brands and sponsorship and
Mhm.
integration of a product. Like Tough Duck is our workwear sponsor in the show. And I
Yeah.
mean, Gavin's just so stoked. Like the owner, he's
Mm.
so pumped. And I don't know what it translates in terms of, sales, or if that's even a thing for him. But
Mhm.
I think just being a part of what this show is and encompasses, I
Yeah.
think it's more than enough. And we're working with for season 2, if there is one, we're going to be working
Mhm.
with hopefully other brands, and we've got that outreach going on right now. So
Oh, that's great. That's
yeah.
great. And we'll get into some of that too. But curious how, so you get the original, plot, everything shot, it's tight, you get that to like, was it Rob Wells first? Like, is that like, how did that get to him? And he's like, I really want to be part of this.
Just through colleagues, through contacts, shared
Okay.
contacts.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I put a lot of effort into the deck in early days, and a buddy of mine from high school, Andrew McMichael, he is a co-executive producer on the project. He co-wrote on episodes as well. But funny dude, did some stand-up comedy and acting in Toronto, but he helped a lot early days. But yeah, I just packaged this deck, and we branded it like the graffiti. So
Okay.
it was all, I hand wrote everything in Sharpie,
Nice.
and it was very, very like thematically aligned with the show. And then
Yeah.
so Rob saw that. Rob saw the demo, and was just like, man, this is smart. This is
Yeah.
genius. I could see a demand for this, and then we start getting into the numbers and the research that I did into the segment. And there's an actual page. It's page 2 in the pitch deck where it says "Why now," and it says massive audience segment, and it gives all the stats. And I pulled all this stuff from Meta's audience insights tool, right? I
Okay.
just did a ton of research, and then it's never been done before is the second quadrant, because I think this show is difficult to execute. I think that's why it's never been done. You can't shoot in an active refinery.
Right. Right.
So doing that legwork, and our locations team had to solve a lot of problems with this show. But they did, and it worked out great. So the third one was the female perspective. And then the fourth one is a social responsibility, which we were talking about earlier,
Yeah.
which, outside of the show and our mission with the series and the content, I'd like to pursue as it gets more popular, and we possibly get into the US market and international markets. I'd like to pursue doing not-for-profits for recovery and addiction and all that stuff, right? Because
Yeah. Yeah.
we could generate a lot of good from the show.
Yeah, for sure. No, that's the amount of research that, again, I don't know where people's understanding of what it takes to get a show to essentially a
I can
series.
tell you, it's
Yeah, well,
odds are
please.
staggering. It's I think, I heard that Bell that year was pitched 1,600 shows, either
Oh,
solicited or unsolicited. And out of those 1,600, I think they strongly considered 75. And out of that 75, I think they developed 15, and I think they greenlit like a handful. So
geez.
and that's just one broadcaster in Canada. There's CBC.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
don't have much. There's there's the streamers and stuff like that. So I think you're right. It's slim pickings, and it's very difficult. All elements of the show need to be considered beyond the creative, and
Right.
it's really like it's lightning in a bottle. Like it's very difficult to do. I think I got the secret sauce down for a lot of the stuff, but every day I'm learning new angles. So
Yeah. Well, even going through, pulling Meta's stats and including those, I mean, that's smart. Obviously, there's money that goes into this, and it's a business, and individuals that are investing, whether that be a corporation or separate, they need to make sure there's some sort of ROI. So that, the smarts of pulling all those stats in, brilliant. Let's get into location, because you mentioned locations, obviously Nova Scotia, here in Ontario as well. What was the challenge in finding that? Because again, you can't go into an active refinery. You can't go into any active plant. There's just too much moving shit.
I
Like,
tried.
someone's going to get hurt. Did you?
We tried. Well, I
Okay.
spoke to all the I spoke to the big four downriver, like the Suncor's, Esso, Suncor Imperial Oil, Nova, and what am I missing? But I got up the chain, and once you hit that PR governance person, media person, they just stop returning my calls because they hear camera, and they
Yeah.
like our millions budgeted show is not worth their billions,
Right.
being
Yeah.
jeopardized. So, and I get it, intellectual property, we're filming, proprietary stuff.
Yeah.
There's a safety security concern if you're sparking lights, and, so yeah, the solution was, our locations team found, the trade school, NSCC, Nova Scotia Community College in Dartmouth, the Dartmouth campus. They have welding shops. They have everything on site. They have these test module areas where there's a control room. There's pipes. Like it feels like this mess of pipes could be outside in a refinery, but it's
Right.
inside their building, and you can treat it like it's outside. And there's no product in the pipe, or there's nothing. The boilers aren't hot. Like it
Yeah.
was a perfect setup for us. And not only that, it was during the summer when there's no students, so we could set up
Oh,
our
okay.
production
Perfect.
offices there. The whole parking lot's empty, so there's our base camp. It just serviced us so well, and I mean, I talk to the leadership team at NSCC all the time, and every time I communicate with them, I'm just over the moon thankful because they help make the show more than they know.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, obviously location is important.
Yeah.
What's the amount of time? So from go to its streaming, how much time does that take?
So from go, I mean, I'll even backtrack from the first deck being written and me pitching it to Bell for the first time, because they said no the first time, and that was 6 years ago. So
Wow.
yeah, and that was just me.
Okay.
No Rob Wells, no Trailer Park Boys, no, so
Mhm.
I took it as a
Why didn't you give up? Let me stop you there for 1 second, because this is important, and it's a message that we try to communicate all the time, especially in cannabis and cannabis brands. We go through a lot of shit, right? Why didn't you give up? Why didn't you say, "No, door's closed, forget it"?
I think I think differently, just the way, I do things. I don't give up until I don't let other people tell me to give up. I give up when I'm comfortable with giving up.
Good.
And
Okay.
I think with this show, when I pitched it, I knew the validity of it. I knew how much of a reach it would have and how incredible it would be.
Mhm.
I just, that initial no turned into a maybe. Like I said, like,
Okay.
that's a maybe. I'll be back in a year. And that's when I
Yeah.
started looking I knew Rob was going to be the lead. I just always had him in mind, and he would have he was perfect. Right.
So you already knew, "I want Rob for this
Yep.
character."
I was
Yeah.
going to get him one
Okay.
way or the other. And,
Good.
yeah, I mean, and so grateful that we did, because, he's got that bigger brother vibe. He's just such a cool guy, and such a talent. Like you could see it in the show. Like he hit some dramatic waves, like where it wasn't just all like dick jokes and comedy and stuff. He was hitting these like dramatic moments, and it was like, and it resonated on set. Everybody was just like, holy shit. Like it was, these moments when he didn't get the promotion, and he's walking back to his seat. Like everybody's just kind of, like we watched the first cut, we were just like, holy smokes. Then you layer on the
Yeah.
music and everything, and it's just like, oh my God, like I'm gonna cry. But no, so the maybe was interesting, because when we were doing the press junket for the show, a month ago, they were taking us to various levels at the Chum building in Toronto, just doing
Okay.
radio, the local broadcast, but like it was Robin Anastasia's day. They were doing all the work. I was just
Yeah.
there to support them. But I stopped and I was like, Rob, I was like, that's the conference room where I had the first pitch meeting. And they said no. And he's like, do you want a photo in there? And I was like, fuck no. And I was like, let's just keep going. Like I was like, hell no. Like it was
Do you want a photo?
yeah, yeah. So
That's
we
awesome.
just
That's
it
awesome.
was so that's how it started, and that was 6 years ago. But we got the
Wow.
demo, yeah, 6 years ago, and then I would say realistically from like the Trailer Park Boys, and included in that is Gary Housem, their producer. So he's been a significant force for getting this thing made, and uh, I'd say from 3 years ago, it was probably when we really gained steam. We thought we could
Mhm.
go to camera 2 summers, or like a summer prior to us shooting. And, it just was too tight. So fortunately, we delayed, but, yeah, it was what a weird timing too, right? With like 2 strikes, the Screen Actors Guild, the Writers Guild of America,
Yeah.
kind of worked in our favor. You know, we,
Mhm.
we
Plus, I mean, going through part of the pandemic at one point in there as well.
Yeah, production
Like,
changed. A lot of things,
jeez.
all business changed, you know, like the way you
Yeah.
interact with colleagues and coworkers, and it was crazy. So we're fortunate the way everything with this project, it just seemed to work out. And that's why we have such a stacked Canadian ensemble, because everybody was looking for work. None of the US shows were coming up to Canada.
Yeah.
We got like
Yeah.
something staggering, like 2,500 submissions for auditions or something ridiculous like that.
Holy smokes.
Yeah, everybody wanted to
Wow.
work.
How did Tom Green get involved in this project? I've always loved Tom all the way back to Organized Rhyme. I think was my first interaction with Tom Green.
Yeah.
Wes, you might not know about Organized Rhyme. We'll share that with you later.
Yeah, his rapping days too, right? So I mean, writing Bennett, I always, it's the same thing with Rob.
Same thing.
I always knew I wanted Tom, and it just worked out that, you know, he was in a previous movie. The boys know him, you know, like it's just that warm introduction to the project. And I mean, the Trailer Park Boys are legends. Like, Rob's a legend.
Oh, fuck yeah.
You know, so like having these guys like be into a subject matter or a project, like it's like, it carries so much momentum. So Tom was a scheduling thing, and we did it. We made it work, and he's fucking hilarious. Like you know, his deadpan delivery all the way to his like facial expressions, like he nailed it. And we tried our best to make that Bennett character unlikable, but also, you know, just a disaster train. Again, a combination.
Well, you nailed it. Yeah.
You know, like there's.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so let's get into, I got to ask some hard questions now. The hard questions are, I'm going to ask you to choose your favorite child. Which episode is your favorite?
103.
103.
Yeah, the sensitivity.
Okay, sensitivity.
Yeah. Yeah, it's my favorite.
That's right up there. Yeah, that's right up there with, you know, my childhood or childlike character in me with the piss test, which I also find they're all hilarious.
That was a great one.
The sensitivity one, because I've had to go through this previously, was hilarious. So and then out of that, I'll ask you, well, first, why? Why is the sensitivity training your favorite episode?
So
there's a lot going on in that episode.
Yeah, and it, you know, the co-writer on that, who co-wrote with me, you know, Derek Schreiber. He's so funny. And we just gelled really well on that content. And it was you know, it just, like we were talking about the pitch deck and you know, the thematics of you know, the graffiti and how like it just represents the show and that demographic of people. Like, I think it's just a strong episode. And then the Janet character, you know, was someone we really wanted to, you know, like having like a Caucasian woman come into a workplace and tell everybody how they're supposed to feel is like, it's so today. It's so hilarious. And you know, we you know, the Pistine Crapple, that's actually like a bathroom at NSCC that we our art department vandalized. It took them 3 days. These guys, like,
oh my God.
Jesse and Dom and their whole team was, and Michael Pearson, like they were in that bathroom, no AC, just like graffitiing for 3 days straight.
Dude, there's so much. I thought for a second that you superimposed it or something, because there's just so much.
That final mural, I won't reveal what it is in case someone's not watched it, but that final mural on the ceiling was fucking amazing.
I know. I'm kind of I wish I would have kept that. I don't know where it ended up, but it was a local artist that JD Boudreau. He was a local artist in Halifax. He does a lot of like unique art and t-shirt design and stuff like that, and he did it. And when I saw it, I was like, dude, this is unbelievable. Like art school unbelievable. Awesome. Yeah, I wish I'm gonna track that down. I'm gonna write that down. Where do those ceiling tiles?
No doubt. We'll want to see it in your background if we get the chance to connect again. Now, next hard question. I'll tell you who my favorite character is,
Okay.
which is Maddie. But I want to know which yours is. That's probably really tough to pick. But who's your favorite character?
Well, I guess if we're picking like a reason why, like Medi's
Not saying the actor, but the character.
yeah, Medi's arc is interesting, and
It is.
yeah, and Raul's performance is spot on. He like overachieved what my expectations were for that character and that role. And that to me is impressive. So he's a fan favorite. Everybody talks about many quotes. They quote his condom line. They quote and a lot of people.
There's so many.
A lot of people have been coming up to me like somebody came up to me at the Walmart the other day and was like, "I fucking hate birds," and I was just like, I get it, So I love Homer. Homer's great.
Yeah.
But man, Dewey's got a special place in my heart.
Okay.
He's such a.
I think Steph's a great character as well. I think that she's
She's
got
a great character.
Amazing character.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely these characters that we were just talking about, I want to see more of them. Like I want to elevate them in potential future seasons. Knock on wood, and then there's Enrico Colantoni like Jimmy. I want to see more Jimmy. Like he's amazing. I just want to see him doing grumpy Italian stereotypical things. We always.
Well, what I found the most interesting is, especially with this series, is that you have your leading roles, right? But there's a perfect balance almost across all the characters. But when you were writing it, did you realize that the Medi character would be as popular as it became?
I think so. I think
Okay.
I knew that he'd be because he's different. He's got the that international engineer. He's not
man of mystery.
Yeah, he's not a typical trades guy, but then you're
Yeah.
pairing that with this party lifestyle and yeah. So Medi was someone that was on my radar for sure, and we talk about it a lot, in prep, how to make this guy, his office, down to every detail, how we can make this guy come across as a disaster but a lovable one, controlled chaos.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy shits in the cup at a golf course, and Raul killed it. So we
Yeah,
all
he did.
and the best thing is the cast, when you're producing a show, they're not around for everything. I was there for
Right.
everything, probably 99% of production, but the cast doesn't know. So they're watching the show with the audience for the first time. And a lot of them are like Medi, oh my God.
Yeah,
they're they're seeing that, but they're also complimenting each other. They didn't see everybody's performances. So
Right.
it's
That's
pretty,
cool.
it's a cool process to go through for sure. But
Yeah,
then,
yeah.
and then you've got, the three leads, are Jen, Audrey, and Rob. So Chelsea, Anastasia, or sorry, Chelsea, Audrey, and Todd. And just that dynamic and the relationship and how we handled that relationship, because it's for our target audience, which is probably skewing male 18 to 40, blue collar, showing that type of relationship in this show. We didn't want it to be of course it's going to happen,
Right.
We wanted them to kiss, and then you literally pan the camera and Dewey's there eating ribs watching. Stuff like that, because it's a fucking comedy. We didn't want to send messages. We didn't want to plant any flags. We just wanted to just be funny.
Yeah.
And
Well, you achieved that. 100% you achieved
Cool.
that. So currently streaming in Canada, is there plans that'll be picked up for US stream?
That's the hope. I mean, we're in discussions now with
Well, they'd be fucking stupid not to, I can tell you that much. I mean, even
Absolutely.
the comments that we get from all the, originally it was just Wes had asked, have you seen the trades? And I'm like, I've seen it advertised, or at least seen it through, and I need to watch it. And then when we did finally get around to watching it, we had broken out some clips and just posted, us talking about it. And we have some US following in our audience as well. And they're like, how do we stream this in the US? And we're like, sorry, you can't. Maybe not yet. So we're hopeful that, the US or the Americans will have access to it, because the trades is it's Canadian, it's US, it's every country, every region. Like, there really is no difference.
And I mean, the other stat is like, I think it's like 72% of the global audience is blue collar adjacent. Like their partner is in construction, or brother's a tradesperson. So like we're talking about like the biggest audience segment possible.
It's huge.
Besides, what's next?
Huge.
Everyone? Can you make a show for everyone? Probably not.
Yeah. Crazy. All right. So now the toughest question of all, Ryan. Will there be a season 2?
Do you want this is the PR.
I know you're going to give me the PR publicist side of things, and that's okay. You give me that bullshit all you want, but I'm going to pull out little strings and see what I can do with it.
So I've been knocking on wood every time I say it. I want a season 2 so badly. You guys know, as far as how long I've been working on this show, I have a spreadsheet that's like 4,400 rows deep of content ideas, episode ideas, jokes, pranks, nicknames, everything.
Holy
from
shit.
these interviews I've been conducting over the past couple of years, over 200 now. And these are either one-on-one, or they're at the office with a case of OV, and I press record on my phone with a group of people, and I'm just like, what's the best rumor you've started? Like it's, so the answer is, of course I want 20 seasons.
Of course. Of course.
But it's not up to me. So
yeah. Well, we think there will be. We're going to leave it with that. But first we need to see, obviously, syndication into the US and make sure that that's available. We want to see that success for you and obviously the show and everyone involved. But we're going to hold on for season 2, especially the way it wrapped. Was eight episodes always kind of the sweet spot for the trades? Or like, I don't know that world enough to go, this should be 12, there should be 16. I don't know. But was that kind of where, let's try this, 8 episodes, or is that normal?
I just think the industry is so in flux. They don't know what the best thing that they know is their analytics. They can test things and try things. I mean, I wish it was 24 episodes, the days of like this old sitcoms, that would be amazing. I would love to pump out 24 episodes, or 12 even would be so much fun. But, it's not up to me. So even the release strategy, doing 2 a week, was an interesting one. And they have a reason to do it. So we'll just keep, doing our job, and they'll do theirs. And it looks like we got a hit show on our hands. So that's the big thing.
Yeah, for sure. It definitely is a hit in our hearts, and those that follow us in our audience, for sure.
Yep.
Ryan, thanks so much for joining Legacies, man. This has been an absolute pleasure having you on. Congratulations again on the success so far, because we know that it's going to boom even more. And we're excited to see a season 2, season 3, season 4, season 5 even. Sounds like you have the content, that's for sure. But thanks so much for joining Legacies, man. You're an awesome dude.
Thanks for having me, boys. Let's do it more frequently. Let's keep chatter going.
Let's do it. All right. Thanks, Ryan.
Yep. Thanks, guys.
It was nice of Ryan to take time out of his busy schedule, eh?
So nice, especially with everything going on with him. I mean, I can't imagine the work involved in putting a show together like that. And the work doesn't stop. Like I know he mentioned he'd like to do a season 2 and stuff like that. That's what his work is now, right? Like,
yeah. Well, and promoting this, because the world of streaming is different, right? It's promote as much as you can up front, but then also promote while they're rolling out, because they don't have that luxury of single episode. And we're talking 8 episodes, right? So single episode each week, which you would normally see in a series that was airing. But in streaming world, you're promoting the entire time that it is already been released, right? So now you're still promoting, because you want that fanfare around it so that you can syndicate and get to other streaming platforms or move it into the US, which we want to see. But I just love how much of a light it shines onto this industry, a very required industry, right? These professions are in jeopardy potentially. Not the current existing ones, but I mean the state of the industry and that trade, the tradespeople alone. So super nice to have him join. I bet you we could talk for 3-4 hours.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I could dive into each episode alone just
Oh
for a
my God.
single, yeah.
Yeah. And just recalling them, I tried to move away from the microphone, but I'm just like reliving those moments. So I'm definitely going to be kickstarting, a second round of watching that again tonight. But anyways, again, packed episode today for us. Episode 10, we've got Shauna Levy coming up.
Madge and Mercer, looking forward to it.
Madge and Mercer.
Talk about shining light on trades. Now we're going to shine some light on the much needed light needed on wellness products
Yeah.
and Shauna's work in that
Listen,
category.
I was talking to Tanya about this, and as you know, holistic nutritionist, right into that. She's got a program for women dealing with menopause, and Shauna will share her story of how she entered in and this. But I started talking about that because when we left that call with Shauna, we were both of the mindset, man, she's right. Like there isn't really a lot of focus at dispensaries or retail level for wellness products. Like, and I'm recalling all the ones I've been in thinking, did they have a wellness section? And the difficulties and challenges around that category alone must be incredible. And we're going to get Shauna to share that. So let's take a quick break. And when we get back, Shauna Levy, Madge and Mercer. All right. And we're back, joined by Shuana Levy. Shauna of Madge and Mercer. So great to have you on the show. Thanks for joining Legacies.
Thanks so much for the invite. I'm thrilled to be here.
Oh, we're ecstatic to have you because we're talking wellness today, right? And we're going to talk about this wellness category surrounding cannabis and the intricacies and challenges. But first, we want to talk about your foray into this crazy industry. We know that you spent a lot of time in design and worked with some incredible people. Bruce Mao as well. I read that, and I've actually worked with Bruce.
No way.
Mildly, yeah. By
When?
way of. So, oh geez, that's back when I built AdBuzz. So quite a ways back, like 15, almost 20 years ago, I think.
No.
Incredible design genius, as you know.
You really.
Anyways,
He's the real deal.
yeah. He is, and I have his book somewhere.
Me
the
too.
design, I forget I forget what it's called. But I do have that, and it was lent out many times. But not really what we're focused on today. But we do want to understand, Shauna, what brought you into cannabis, because your story is unique and much different than the vast majority of individuals that we've met with and had on the show, but also just who we've become friends with in the industry.
Yeah. So, there's a bit of a journey there, and it's a personal one. I mean, yeah, I spent over 20 years in the design world and loved it and loved all the amazing, incredibly inspiring people that I met. And, um, but my career has always been about trying to do something unprecedented or challenge what's been happening to a certain degree or open thinking in a new way or have people think about things in a different way. And so doing that kind of work is exciting, but it also brings its own degree of stress because you're constantly trying to break the mold. And for me personally, it started to take its toll on me in terms of my own health and well being. And while I was CEO at Design Exchange, I was trying to create a design museum and really change people's thinking about design as being about culture or having cultural value and creating a not-for-profit charity around that. And I developed a really horrible um, condition and a chronic pain condition that was very much exacerbated by anxiety and stress. And I tried everything to manage the stress, everything from hydromorphone, narcotics, all the way to magnet therapy, which I'm happy to talk about at some point. Um, but I tried everything and nothing worked. I was still lying on my living room floor with my hot water bottle. And then someone said to me, "Oh, you should try cannabis. You can get a medical prescription." This was right before it was legal recreationally. And I was like, "No way, I'm not using cannabis. I don't want to smoke. I'm not a smoker. I quit smoking cigarettes, 20 years ago. I don't want it to be tempted. I don't like the smell. I am not a good pot smoker. I was the one at dinner parties who was hiding under the dining room table. Like, it's not me." And then someone said, well, you can use it in different formats. Like you can use it in an oil or in gel caps. And I was like, wow, that's kind of interesting. And so that was how I entered into the world of cannabis. And I, signed up with a cannabis doctor, got onto a medical cannabis platform, started to use oil, gel caps. And for the first time ever, my pain was managed. The
Wow.
condition that I have wasn't cured. And,
Mhm.
but the pain and anxiety was really addressed, because chronic pain and anxiety have like a cyclical relationship. They support one another. There's a bit of a chicken and the egg situation. So
Mhm.
you need to break that cycle. And so if you can break the cycle in your head, then you could probably break the cycle in terms of where you're feeling the pain as well.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
I became a huge advocate for cannabis wellness as a result of that experience.
Yeah. Wow, that's wild. And they do say that where, I struggle with that myself, right? So chronic pain, tons of opioids, didn't want to be on them. I didn't have an addiction, but it was one of those things that you just like years and years and years of it. You're like, there's got to be something better. And we realize that cannabis isn't, a silver bullet. It doesn't cure necessarily, but what it does is it helps you cope. And you're right. It's that mechanism within the brain that just dissociates, and you're
Exactly.
able to then at least move on. But you brought up a really valid point, which is the anxieties caused by, it could be chronic pain, it could be irritable bowel, it could be multiple things, but whatever those underlying symptoms are, I've just realized that now when you just said it. The anxiety connection with whatever, because it could be, I've got to go to Toronto to do something, right? Because I'm outside of Toronto, we got to go to Toronto and do something. I'm in pain. I can't deal with that. So for a week leading up to it, it's like, oh my God, it's not going to be
Mom, you are
enjoyable,
you are
right?
telling my story.
Right?
Did I
So
tell you this
anyways, yeah,
already?
you
Was
you
I
gotta tell us the
did I
story.
tell
No,
you
you
that?
didn't tell us. Like,
'Cause
no,
that
not
is
at all.
exactly my story. So I was living in the beaches in Toronto,
Yeah.
and every time I had to get into the car to go to a meeting or go somewhere in town, because I have ulcerative colitis, and so every time I got into the car, I would get into a complete panic.
God.
Because especially during the pandemic, because all the bathrooms were closed.
Oh my God, yeah.
So
Yeah.
I was like, how do I get from A to B as quickly as possible so that I don't have to so I don't have an accident,
Yeah, yeah,
not a car accident, So it was
yeah.
like, yeah, that was really it. And I think, to your point, like IBS, colitis, I mean, any kind of chronic pain situation, you are this anxiety going into a meeting. Like, am I going to be able to get through this meeting without having to go to the bathroom? Like,
Yeah.
it creates all this anxiety. And, you know, uh, it's interesting because there is something, people call it like invisible diseases. And I think that that's, invisible diseases, I believe always have a degree of anxiety because people can't
Mhm.
see it. They don't allow for it. Like if I was physically disabled, then you would know there was something going on and you would be like, oh, that's because she's behaving that way or has to leave the room because of
Right.
XYZ. But I remember I had a meeting once, a board meeting, and I had to leave, I don't even know how many times. And they started making jokes that I had a
Oh.
had coke addiction. I was like, and they're all men in the room.
Oh,
And the
man.
big joke was that I had a coke addiction. And I was like, that's really not funny at all.
No,
So
no.
yeah.
And then the anxieties that come from that, and oh my God,
Yeah.
that's horrible. That's horrible.
Yeah.
So you go through this, you realize cannabis is a viable option. It's going to help you manage. We don't say treat, but it's going to help
That's
you
right.
manage these symptoms.
That's right.
At what point in time did you have that? I'll call it eureka for right now. You may change that wording, but that eureka moment where you're like, okay, this makes sense. I'm going to pursue this now. I'm pushing all in. And you decide to tell us about the journey and how Madge and
Yeah.
Mercer became a company.
Yeah. So I left Design Exchange because one of my board directors, Lauren Gertner, who many
I know
people
Lauren.
know him.
Yeah.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
co-founded Tokyo Smoke, which is
Tokyo Smoke, your
owls.
godfather of cannabis, apparently.
Exactly. And so he convinced me to come work with him. I had known him for years. In fact, he was a family friend. And my father and him knew each other from the fashion industry. And so he had just sold Tokyo Smoke and was working on a consumption lounge model and
Mm,
wanted to integrate a whole cultural and experiential component to it, which was what I had been doing in my previous position
mhm.
in terms of culture experience and creating those moments. And so I thought, well, this sounds kind of interesting and I'm ready for change. And so I went and worked with him on this concept. Unfortunately, the timing wasn't great. The pandemic hit about a year later. And the timing just wasn't, it was too early. Like many good
Mhm.
ideas, the timing was just too early in terms of legislation around consumption, on-site consumption. I mean, now we're starting to see
Right.
the beginning of it. And so that was in 2019. So it was a little early. Um,
Mhm.
so we parted ways amicably, and I started to think, my interest in cannabis really was more on the wellness side. And I thought, you know what, like I had become this big advocate. And every time I met a woman who was, in my age group, who was dealing with hormonal challenges, symptoms, whether it was anxiety, stress, chronic pain, inflammation, trouble sleeping, libido challenges, I would say, try cannabis. And at that point it was legal, and they had the exact same reaction that I had in the beginning. "Oh, no. I don't wanna smoke. I don't like the smell of it. Like, I don't want my kids to know," like, all this
Mhm.
stuff, like real stigma. And so I thought, well, this is crazy because, these are women who are drinking a bottle of wine at night, who are
Mhm.
taking narcotics, opioids to calm themselves down. And, this is a natural plant. And, it should be viewed as a supplement. I mean, they're putting collagen in their smoothies, they're putting
Yeah.
maca in their smoothies and ashwagandha. And why not put a little CBD in there, to give
Yep.
themselves that calm and disassociate, as you were saying earlier. And so I thought, well, if I could create a brand that came very authentic, again, coming from the design world, putting that human at the center of every decision I made. So that woman over 40, what would she like? What would she want? How can I make her life better? Um, and that's how I did it. And I really looked at every aspect of my business and thought about her and what she
Mhm.
would need to live a healthier, better life. And so that was the beginning of it. And so I started
Okay.
working on it during the pandemic in 2020.
Okay. So you certainly had enough time to
Yeah,
lock in and explore the idea and the concept because coming from design, I know you spend a lot of time doing that, right? So,
for sure.
interesting model where I think it's in contrast to what we see in the market right now or the industry anyways, where, it's really just there's so much, high THC and the potencies and this is more from the audience and understanding the demographic and what their challenges are and creating the product around that that caters to the female demographic in this case and very female forward. I love the products.
Mhm.
Um, so during the pandemic, conceptualizing, obviously you need to get, distribution and understand all those challenges that come around it. Who's going to provide? Where are you sourcing? I mean, it's a nightmare, right? Everyone thinks when they see a product on the shelf, oh, there's a
Yeah,
product on the shelf. They have no idea
no
the
idea.
the hoops and hurdles that you have to go through and over.
No, not at all. I mean, it was pretty insane. And those were early days, right? That was 2020. And
Hmm.
so I met a lot of shysters along the way and, almost got involved in something that, would have financially destroyed me personally, probably. Um, but luckily got out of it pretty fast. But yeah, a lot of not good people, unfortunately. But there are also a lot of great people in the cannabis world too. I mean, like every
Right.
industry, you find good and bad. Um, but finally, I met someone who was really helpful, Shane Morris, who,
Oh yeah, Shane, good
yeah,
friend. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
Shane was really super helpful in helping me navigate the industry and really saying,
Mhm.
that guy is full of crap. Don't believe
Yeah,
what he's saying. Like,
yeah.
that is
He's
not
real
what you
quick to point
should
that
be
out.
paying.
Yeah,
That's not what you should be paying for formulation. That's been
yeah.
completely blown out of proportion. And because of his experience, in plant science, being a PhD in plant science, he was able to help me
Hmm.
formulate my products based on, outcome so that they were outcome based. And
Yeah.
So that was a really exciting process to go through and learn about the plants and learn a lot more about cannabis and that. So, and that was what I needed. I needed to surround myself with people who knew more than I did.
Yeah.
I also worked with Marnie Brooks, who's a doctor with the Cannabo Clinic.
Hmm.
And so she helped me a bit. And I had an amazing creative director or art director, rather, Megan Oldfield, who worked on all the branding. And she and I did tons of brainstorming on the branding and, what we wanted to achieve and creating the name and all that stuff. Yeah, and then, yeah, then we had to find a producer. And that was really the toughest part. And
Hmm.
to be completely transparent, it continues to be extremely challenging.
Hmm.
Um, I'm not a huge brand. I am more of a niche brand. So finding a producer who's willing to take that risk and work with me and help me get my product in market, even though I'm not a huge brand, is challenging. And so I've worked with a few over the past 4 years, and I would say that that's definitely a pain point. But yeah,
Right.
finding the right producer is, and I went through I went through like I worked with Deloitte, who helped outline some producers to work with. And again, those were the early days. And um, so that was a big process and, continues to be for sure.
Yeah, yeah. What is the challenge from the supplier side or the producer side? Is it the category? Is it the type of product that you're putting in these SKUs? What is that challenge? Just so because we see this a lot. Again, potency is driving a lot of decisions in this industry right now. And there's a lot of producers out there that are like, yeah, we produce fire flower 30% plus, but that's not your niche.
No,
So what
no.
is that challenge?
Well, that's just it. I mean, the wellness category apparently represents about 10%, and I would say probably less
Mm,
even of the overall market. Um, I heard a stat recently that the average retailer carries 7% of the overall available SKUs. Um, and so, when you're talking about that, then, 10% of that being wellness, and that category is primarily dominated by the larger producers.
mhm,
Um, the larger producers are able to offer better pricing. They also, because I'm contracting it out, I cannot produce my products for the same price as a
mm.
producer can. Plus, we do know that there are data agreements that are happening that
Yeah.
I cannot get involved with as well
Nor
for
should you be. No one
no,
wants to be involved in
no,
that. Well, I
exactly.
shouldn't say no one wants to be, but they shouldn't be.
No, I mean, I heard your interview with Owen, which I thought was fantastic. He's definitely an amazing person and doing great
He
things for
is.
the
Yeah.
industry.
And he has a very eloquent way of putting the challenges within there.
Yeah, for sure. And also, I listened to your interview with Lisa Bigioni, who I'm a big
Mm,
fan of
yeah.
too.
Love her
But
too. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, so that's a challenge. And so as a result of all that, um, my sales numbers are not what you call humongous on the recreational
Mm,
side of things, on the retail side. And
hmm.
so, there has to be a producer that is willing to say, okay, well, that's okay. Like, we won't expect large MOQs from you. We'll accept smaller
Right.
MOQs. We're not going to gouge you for these smaller MOQs.
Hmm.
Um, and we're going to get behind you. That's really, I think, the biggest issue is just finding producers who are willing to work with smaller brands
Right.
who can afford to also run lower MOQs too.
Yeah, yeah. Well, they must believe in the vision though as well, right? Because
Or
all day long they could choose higher MOQs. They could choose really whatever they want at the end of the day. I don't think many of them are hurting to find brands to be able to work with. But you brought up an interesting stat that I had no idea. So approximately 7% of all available SKUs are carried by the average retailer. Is
Mhm.
that what you had said? That's accurate? Wow. So then when you get into the wellness category of that, previously when we spoke, you talked about the wellness in general, that category being very difficult for retailers to get behind.
Mhm.
Um, why is that? Is it
Well,
consumers aren't educated enough? Is it like why are they not adopting that model of, hey, we've got a wellness section. come check it out? What
Yeah.
is that?
There's a bit of a chicken and egg situation, I believe. So the average retailer, once again, I mean, we're not talking the big chains, although the big chains probably have similar issues to a certain degree, need to have products turn at a certain rate to keep their cash
Mhm.
flowing. And wellness products just don't turn at the same rate. Like a pre-roll, a high THC package of high THC pre-rolls, that's going to turn pretty fast. Like that customer is going to come back in a day, 2 days, and purchase more. A bottle of CBD oil is going to last you, a month.
Mhm.
A cartridge is going to last you also about a month, if not a little longer, because you're using it,
Right.
taking a couple of hits before you go to sleep. So,
Mhm.
so it's not turning as fast for the retailer, and so the retailer gets discouraged and says, "Well,
Mhm.
man, I'm not going to carry that because it took me so long to flip that and get the cash back out of it." But then the customer comes back the next month looking for that product and they don't carry it anymore. So now that customer
Right.
who found relief is like, okay, now what? Do I go back to my hydromorphone or my
Mm.
sleeping pills? Like, it's just, and then that person's not going to come back in because they can't find that product that they're looking for. And the OCS, while very bold and ambitious to carry 5,000 SKUs, the flow through process. And for those of you watching who don't know what flow through is, basically it means the OCS no longer carries inventory, which means that it's on a PO basis from the stores, but which also means that it's not available on OCS.ca for the retail
Mhm.
customer.
Right.
That latter part is what hurts a brand like me. It's not so much like the individual ordering from stores, that's fine. I can handle that. But you're taking it off of OCS.ca, where most of my customers are buying
Mm.
their products, because in many cases, these are older women who are still not comfortable going into stores. And so it's just much easier for them to go online, order their oil, and have it sent
Mhm.
to their home. And so now I've just lost that whole
Yeah.
customer base.
That's really
So
tough.
So it's really tough. And I think, for a retail store to invest in a wellness strategy, it's a long-term strategy and they have to be
Right.
prepared mentally, financially to commit to it and
Mhm.
understand that it's not going to be tomorrow that it'll pay off. But if they continue to build it and people begin to know that they can go there for it, it will eventually pay off. But again, not
Mhm.
many stores can afford to do that. So
Right,
I
right.
understand
Well,
why it's not happening. I'm not faulting stores for it because I
sure.
get it. It's just unfortunate. It almost feels that the industry is just not ready for it yet. And, you know,
Yeah.
and is it even the place to purchase wellness products? Like, I don't
Well,
know.
that's what I was going to ask. That I was going to ask that because you're setting a chain reaction, right? So, they're not seeing the volume being sold at the retail level, which then affects your ability to have a general listing with OCS, which then
Yeah.
moves it to flow through, which means I, as a online consumer, cannot purchase it. But the vast majority of foot traffic going into dispensaries or retail are men, right? And then they are looking for those THC type products, which begs the question of why, and I know why. It's we know why Health Canada is doing it, but we would love to see, maybe I'll say it this way, that health stores, ones that typically would carry health type products and wellness products, that they would have the ability to have some sort of section can sell whatever you need to do in order
Mhm,
to be able to do
mhm,
this.
mhm.
But that's the that's the
I
target. They're
agree.
the individuals in there, educate them, but also have campaigns around it. This is where you can now get it because it's not just Madge and Mercer. It's not just Shauna. There's other wellness products in this industry that are feeling the exact same pain that you are.
For sure. For sure. And I mean, I've started to reach out to quite a few of them just to understand how they're handling things and try to create more of some camaraderie, within the
Hmm.
industry. But yeah, I think health food stores is where it belongs. I mean, what I
Yeah.
ended up doing was, uh, I guess it's a little backwards, but I ended up going to medical. Whereas, many
Hmm.
brands start on medical and then they move over to rec, but I started to move over to medical. And so now my products are available on 3 different medical platforms. And we're
Which are,
selling,
let's make sure we
well,
mention them. Which
we're
ones?
it's being sold on Spectrum Therapeutics, so Canopy's site,
Hmm.
Herbal Dispatch, and Mendo. And there
Beautiful.
should be 1 or 2 more that will open up this summer. Um,
Hmm.
but we're selling more on medical than we're selling in recreational now. So, which
Right.
I guess makes sense because they're wellness products. And you know what? I was talking to a
Hmm.
retailer about who was, about carrying my products. And I said, well, will you be carrying them in a wellness? Will there be like a wellness section in which they'll appear? And the answer was, well, no, we're just going to put them in with the other vapes. And I said, but these are like 4-to-1 and 2-to-1 CBD vapes. Like, and the pricing is very different than, a THC
Hmm.
vape. So, like a person looking for a wellness product is not just going to go look at vapes. Like,
No, no.
they want to, it
Well,
just
not to
doesn't make
mention it's so confusing if you
sense.
are in a retail location that has the display model. I mean, I'm getting older. I don't always have my glasses with me. I can't read anything in these display
I
shelves.
know.
Thank you, Health
I know.
Canada. Everything is so small.
I
I
know.
can't see it anyways.
I know. I know. 100%. I'm the same. Um, yeah. So it's tough, and but I think medical seems to be where we're going, and then I've licensed our brand to a medical cannabis platform in the UK called Grow Pharma,
Okay.
and
Okay.
so they just started selling our 4-to-1 disposable vape, so that's exciting. And
Hmm.
I'm exploring some opportunities in Latin America right now as well. So we'll see. I mean, it's day by day, vape by vape, bottle by bottle.
But I
Um,
mean, the product in the category makes sense, and especially with what you're trying to achieve with, dealing with the symptoms that are seen by many women. It's not just women, it's men. We
of
understand this as
course.
well. Your
Yeah, of
your
course.
brand happens to be catered towards women and their transition into and treating these symptoms. Um, so if that's the case, because I'm just thinking like your transition into the industry and trying cannabis was via medical as well. Did you go straight to rec, or were you in the medical side as well at first, or straight to rec?
No, I went straight to rec.
Okay.
Um, That's a good question. I mean, well, because I really believed that wellness would be a big part of recreational. Like, I really believed that. Like,
Hmm.
originally, I wanted to open my own store. That would have been the Madge and
Hmm.
Mercer Modern Apothecary. But in those days, again, like, no guarantee you were going to get your products accepted. And then,
Right.
like, what were you going to steal in your store? Like the same products as everybody else. And there were
Right.
a couple of stores that focused on wellness, and they closed. Like,
Uh,
what was it called? Corey Wellness. She had 2
mhm.
stores on Queen, and I mean, not only did she close, but, like, she was told to take the wellness sign off her door, like,
Oh.
by the AGCO. Like, it was just, yeah, like, crazy stuff. And so, and I know in talking to Health Canada, like, one of the things that they've said is, cannabis was legalized primarily to eradicate the illicit market and to protect public health. And
Mm.
creating a new market was not the objective, and what the wellness market they see as a new market. But again, to your point, I mean, I think of it as it's a supplement. It's a supplement like the
Yeah.
ones I mentioned earlier. And whether that's in a health and wellness shop or whether it's in a pharmacy, I mean, cannabis health products, there is a lobby group that Shane's involved in, that I'm involved in, to push for cannabis health products to be sold in pharmacies. We'll see. I mean, Health Canada is certainly taking its time to look at that. So I don't see it happening tomorrow, but
Mhm, mhm.
you never know.
What's this lobbying group so we can put this information up so that people are aware
Oh,
of it?
good question, Tom. I think it's just called Cannabis Health Products. Let me see. Cannabis. Yeah, Cannabis Health Products Coalition.
Okay.
Perfect. We'll get that
We'll make sure we get that up. But I mean, it's not just our natural supplements in Canada are under attack right now, right? So I shared this with you before. My wife is a holistic nutritionist. She's, health conscious, we say freak, for 20 years, right? And when this came up as something where, the government, and it is the government, let's make no mistake, it is Health Canada that is looking to ban, audience, listen, they're looking to ban natural health products in Canada. That is beyond, I just can't even, when I say that, my mind has to, it takes a second to recognize, why the hell would they ever want to attack that?
Well, it's pharma. It's big pharma.
Okay, you answered it. I knew what it was, but
I know, it's a rhetorical question.
Yeah, it's totally what it is. And it makes you wonder if, is there influence to the AGOC that, big pharma, they take wellness off your door. Like, come
AGLC.
on.
Sorry, I said AGCL before. I meant AGLC. Sorry.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's really unfortunate. I just don't know what's going to happen. I mean, there's so many other issues right now that Canada has with within the health world that I really hope they focus on those rather than on something like this, because like our health situation is dire right now. Our healthcare situation is dire.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Well, and that's why, individuals do need to be able to seek alternative means, right? And cannabis is one of them. CBD or THC, however you're looking to deal with it. There's a lot of great physicians that do understand this. Dr. Mike Hart is one of them. Dr. Ira Price, going way back, friend of mine, he's being an advocate for cannabis. He's a Hamilton ER doctor. Imagine the amount of opioid abuse and use he sees. And through his clinic and work for the better part of a decade, he's seen multitudes of people come off of very strong, you're talking OxyContins and whatever they might be, and not substituting, but using cannabis as a means to get off of that. And we're still having these conversations. I'm blown away that this is a topic that we have to be fighting for.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that people don't understand, or perhaps not appreciate enough when it comes to drug addiction, is that like the base or the level of normal is not the same. So as someone who doesn't have a drug addiction. So if someone has a very serious drug addiction, whether it's heroin or crack or whatever, and they've been able to wean them off and put them on something like methadone, and they have some cannabis in their life, that's actually good. Like, they've actually made huge strides in terms of their wellness. It's very difficult. I mean, recidivism is so high. So let's take away their crutches. Like, let's help them. Let's help them get to healthy, I just find, there needs to be a lot more understanding about the process of addiction and why there is addiction and how to get off of, how to get out of addiction. And again, the crutches and aids that would help them too.
Yeah. And not just for the individuals that are struggling with the addiction, for the general public, and just to understand what those individuals are dealing with, because it's too easy to be, holier than thou. And why are they addicted? Well, you haven't experienced it.
That's right.
I was a smoker, and tobacco is apparently more difficult of a habit to break than heroin. I couldn't imagine being addicted to heroin. I could have been there. I mean, heroin is just it's a derived product to be able to use in oxys and all these other products that are available. But anyways, I don't want to spend too much on what needs to change, the doom and gloom nature of because there are positive strides that are being made. And I think that, with coalitions, again, love Shane. I love that he's just, take no prisoners type attitude. I worked closely with him from, when he was in the days of Aurora and bringing product to market and, challenging Health Canada. He had a bit of an inside scoop, I think, as well, because he was on loan at the time. I think he was at his 10-year mark with Health Canada or something. Yeah.
We should
So
interview him
he
next.
knew. Oh, we're gonna get him on. Yeah, I don't know if our audience is quite ready for Shane and all his truth bombs, but we're certainly willing to share them.
It would be so.
It would, right? It would. So what are next steps? Like, first, help us understand, Madge and Mercer, what products you currently have available to everyone.
So we have, again, we're very niche, we're very tight. We have 4 products. So we have an oil. That's a lemongrass ginger oil that was formulated by a chef, and we chose lemongrass and ginger for a couple of reasons: to mask that weed water taste, to mask that oily taste, and to add a little bit of anti-inflammatory boost, and also help with nausea. It has a pure coconut MCT oil. I don't use palm or anything like that. It's in a beautiful glass bottle, and anyway, it's a beautiful product. The other 3 products are vapes, and we do a 4-to-1 CBD disposable that here, I'll open one up for you. Should I show you one? Can I show you one on air?
Of course. I'm actually going to, of course you can. We're going to source these. As soon as I mentioned your story, I talked to my wife about this, I think a month ago when we were originally trying to get you on, and she was so excited. Excited.
I think I know where to get you, sir. All right. Actually, when you open it, you can even smell the menthol. It's delicious.
Oh, cool.
So so this is the 4-to-1. It's called El Alivio Menta, which means mint relief in Spanish. And so it's a beautiful sage green and has a matte finish. And it's just amazing. It's like a cosmetic, like it just can fit into your cosmetic case, into your back pocket. It's like one of those things you just take wherever you go. Like it's like my vape and my phone, or like,
all the
time. And then we do 2 cartridges as well. We do a 2-to-1 has the same flavor profile. I call it La Pasión. So I had a lot of women saying, "Give us something for sex." And so I was like, well, this is, we'll just get your head focused in the moment. Like there's no magic here. It's really just about relaxing, getting into the moment, so you're not worrying about laundry and shit. And then, but you can use for anything. And then Bon Nuit is our other cartridge, which is almost a 2-to-1, but also has the addition of our CBN. So and really nice terpenes like nerolidol and myrcene to help support that sedating kind of impact. And so those are the 4. So the idea really is like the oil is what gets you through the day. It's that disassociative kind of impact. The 4-to-1 is what you use in times of when you need immediate relief. The 2-to-1 is when you want a little more for those moments, whatever they may be, and the Bon Nuit is for nighttime. So, I mean, when I initially started the brand, it really wasn't about just doing vapes. I did have some formulations for edibles and topicals, and I did have a beautiful facial serum that I had in the market in the beginning, but it was just too early for where the market is at. Like a premium facial serum, women aren't looking for that in cannabis shops. I mean, next to dab products.
Well, but the thing is that, like, I understand your core. My dog has joined me in the studio here. I've got 2 running around here. But I get it. Your core demographic is women, but you're showing me these products. I'm attracted to these products, right? Because I'm not my 15 to 20-year-old self where I'm smoking a joint a day. And I was still a motivated pot smoker, if we will, back in that time. But the difference being is that I'm a professional. I still deal with chronic pain on a daily, but I don't use cannabis throughout the day for the most part, because I get very cloudy now. I've noticed as time goes on, I'm getting a little older. I just get cloudy. So I save those THC type concentrates or whatever, it could be flower, for evening use when I know I don't have to worry about anything else anymore. I'm not going to get it, blown up in emails. So I'm looking at your products though going, there are individuals like myself that would be attracted to that category and that product, that even though, because I'm not going, that's very feminine. And even if it is, I don't care. But I'm not
It's
looking at
not.
that going, that's super feminine. It's a beautiful product. It's
Yeah,
beautifully designed. And I think that the use case is what I'm attracted to.
exactly. And that's what we're finding too, is that our products are being used by men too. I mean, especially in medical. We have a return program for the disposable. And
Oh,
so
cool.
I often get men sending me their information to send it back their vape. So I know men are using our products as well. And there's no reason why
Yeah.
men can't use our products. Like, it was really about creating a language that would appeal to women, but but it also is not like, has like, I don't know. And today, I mean, with gender, I mean, it's like anything goes, right? So it's like,
Sure.
why wouldn't a man be attracted to these products? Like,
Yeah.
again, to your point, like, these are products that get you through the day and allow you to function, and
Yeah.
whether you're male or female.
Yeah. And that's what I love about it, is the formulations. You're talking 4-to-1s and 2-to-1s,
Yeah.
which not a ton in those category or
No,
SKU formats.
no.
So I would suspect, and gentlemen that are listening to this, please, if you're looking for those, I know you're out there. And there's individuals that deal with the same situation as me. They're in pain, they're dealing with the anxieties that come along with that. This is an alternative to those high THCs. There's not a lot of 1-to-1s, that are just generally available, unless they're in oil formats in some cases. And some people want to be able to vape it. It's a quicker
And
effect.
you know what I found? Exactly. It's immediate relief. That's why I called this El Alivio
Yeah.
Menta, but yeah, I mean, like, yeah, I mean, La Calma, like the oil is called La Calma. So it is about creating a sense of calm and allowing
Right.
you to get through that day. But
Okay, so Shauna, we've been doing something kind of fun and new for us. But what we've been doing is, on each episode, we get our guest to pose a question to the next guest, and we don't reveal who the guest is going to be. So last week we had Matt Shirkas from Sheesh Sodas on, and he posed a question, not knowing it was going to be you, but he posed a question to you. Wes, do you want to read that question?
Yeah, absolutely. So the question Matt had, and I'll cut that in here, was if you could change one regulation at the moment that is not excise tax or excise reform, if you could change one regulation in the industry right now, what would that be and why?
gosh, there's so many. I think for me, um, well, it's a toss up. I mean, certainly packaging. Packaging is challenging. If we could have a little more flexibility in our packaging to differentiate ourselves, that would be a good one. However, the one that is the most harmful, I think, is the way in which the OCS operates, in terms of, if the OCS delists you, you have been delisted from the entire province. You cannot sell your product in the entire province. And so people often say to me, in terms of discussions around, data agreements and so forth. And when I say, well, I can't do data agreements, I can't compete on pricing. And so people say, well, if you were a consumer packaged goods and you didn't want to pay Loblaws top shelving fees, then you don't have to. You could sell your product elsewhere. But that's not the case with cannabis. Like, if I lose the game because I can't pay data fees, because I can't compete on pricing, I can't go sell my product at a farmer's market or at a craft show
Right.
or at a health food store or anywhere else. There's a complete monopoly on the market. And that, to me, is the most harmful issue and the biggest issue that I would want to see change.
Yeah. That's a good one. And at the provincial level. And I think that's the thing. We think above the provincial level and those complications at the provincial level way too often, and not recognizing those challenges. Delisting is death to a brand.
That's right.
Yeah. So now the fun part, Shauna. So that was a great answer.
Oh no, now I have to think of one.
Now you get to ask one. We're not telling you who it is. And sometimes it's, there was someone in the industry, related to the industry. They may not have anything to do with cannabis at all in some cases, but
it's Jane?
you get to ask.
No, it's not Shane.
It's not Shane.
Where do you see the cannabis industry 3 years from now? Who will be the big players, or who will be successful in 3 years from now? Not 5 years from now, but 3 years from now.
All right, that's a good one. I have my thoughts. I want to be able to answer these questions, Wes.
Oh.
Yeah, you can just imagine what I'd have to say. Anyways, those are great. Shauna, it has been an absolute pleasure having you on Legacies. We'll be sure to make sure we get to connect as often as possible. We want great things for Madge and Mercer and all the products that you have in market. We're going to do what we can to ensure that everyone is aware. Men, it's not just a woman's product, right? 4 to 1 and 2 to 1. That's where it's at. You want to get through your day.
Exactly. And Mother's Day is coming up.
Mother's Day is coming. Yes.
Sorry, Wes. I'm saying.
No worries. If there's, I'm just wondering if are there any wellness kind of resources or anything like that you might want to plug before the end of the show for the audience. If there's anything that kind of helped you that you'd like to relay to others, we can put those on screen now for you if you'd like.
So, good question. We actually had a full page of all of the resources that we used when doing our research. And we were told that Health Canada didn't approve of that, and that we could only direct people to the Health Canada site regarding the Cannabis Act. So that would be the page that I would refer.
Unfortunate, but okay. I understood. Understood.
We like to bend those rules as much as possible because it's us. It's not you.
You know what, though? I tried, and someone in the industry ratted on me, and I got audited. My website got audited. So I had to take off a bunch of stuff that I thought was really helpful, and that was one of them.
Yeah. Just we're so tired of hearing these types of stories. Like, just focus on your own brands and building your own brands. Right. Don't worry about what others are doing. And in those cases, if you feel that you need to narc someone out, chances are your brand won't exist in, a certain amount of time either.
Certainly not.
Enough about that. Yeah. Okay. Shauna, you're a blast. We love your story. We love your products. Obviously, we want to see more distribution. And hopefully there'll be change. I would love to see these in natural health stores, in the very near future. We don't think it'll be near. But I think, you touched on timing, just like with working with Lauren, no different. I think that hold fast, timing will change everything. And hopefully Health Canada listens, right? And we get to see these products across more distribution channels. But that said, it's been awesome having you on the show. We appreciate you very much. And we hope that you will rejoin us again in the future.
Thank you. It's been so fun. And you're so easy to talk to, and you're super knowledgeable. And I
appreciate that.
This has been really great. Probably one of the most interesting conversations I've had about cannabis in a very long time. So thank you.
Great. Thanks so much. Appreciate that. Thanks, Shauna. Well, what do you think, Wes? We're going to get out there and get some Madge and Mercer product, or what? There's no reason men can't use these products.
Absolutely. I think the 4 to 1 sounds interesting to me. I think that's the one that caught me for sure.
Yeah, I really, honestly, I've never been huge into vape. I love the convenience of it, but you don't, again, and I could be just completely dumb when it comes to this, but I haven't sought out a 2 to 1 vape that is prominent with CBD.
Right.
So definitely looking forward to that. But Shauna and her story, one, she's just incredible. She, her background, she could have just stuck with that, right?
Right.
But she obviously likes a challenge. But you can feel that pain that's in there based on the way the industry and the state of the industry is. And we certainly do not want to see brands like this disappear. So I encourage all of our audience, check out Madge and Mercer, and other similar products. I mean, within the wellness category, there are a ton, and you need to pay attention to these. If you're looking to be able to deal with certain symptoms, whether they are female or male, or they are just in general, check these products out. Join us. We'll check them out along with you and let us know what you think. Certainly interested in that, but I'm going to be going out of my way to track this product down for sure. That's not an inducement to go and buy it, but certainly look at this as an option. It was also nice to have Ryan on, so I encourage everyone again, watch the trades. We've seen it. I'm watching it again. You won't regret it. Just, comment if you see anything, tag us, send us a message, let us know what you think. Ryan is a great individual, and this Saturday, joining Ross and Chris Rosakis as well, at Canna Kick It. Check out Canna Kick It. If you don't have tickets, make sure you get them. And the Ross's Gold giveaway, we're going to give away a wicked shirt for Ross's Gold to honor the true snowboarding and Olympic champion. Wes, what else we got?
Amazing. Yeah. And then just a quick reminder as well, we've got a couple week contests going on. We want to see your clips. We want to see you guys playing guitar or playing drums or playing keyboard, your solos, whatever it is. We want to see what the cannabis community's got when it comes to
even
shredding.
DJing. Even DJing.
Yeah,
Gavin
even DJing.
Delaney. I want to see a clip.
Ooh.
We know you got skills, so we want to see a clip. Join us.
Yes, good call. Good call.
Yeah. Anyways,
but other than that, I think we're set for the week and wrapping up episode 10.
Episode 10. This is a power-packed episode, man. Like, really, it is. There's going to be a lot in here that you get to go and edit now.
Should be fun. I do love post-production.
Yeah.
But here's to episode 10, and here's to future episode 100. Let's
for sure
take it from there.
We're getting tons of support. We love you all. Thank you for tuning in, and be sure to check out episode 11 coming next week.
Have a great week, guys.